Good afternoon and welcome to our first Datron Digital Experience Days 2.0 in English language. This is the second time we are broadcasting today live from the Datron HQ in Mühltal-Treysa. My colleagues and I, who you can already see in the background, are prepared to give you chock-full information on Datron technology today. Usually at this time of year, we would have welcomed you from one of our international trade show presents, but due to the corona pandemic, this is not possible. Yet, we still would like to give you the best possible Datron experience available, and that is via live streaming, which we're doing this week. So, this is our virtual showroom with our live experience event today. We are broadcasting this week 4 times in English language, every day at 2 p.m. Central European Summertime from different locations here at our HQ. If you have not yet checked out our virtual showroom, I would like to invite you to see what we have in store. There's an abundance of information, video, and also technical background on our individual products. My name is Charlotte Breitwieser, and I'm happy to announce different things for this week. The virtual showroom that I have already alluded to is open 24 hours to you from this Monday through Friday, 18th September. The live events are also available in German language, so if you have international contacts or colleagues who would like to join us in German, please forward the word, let them register at our platform experience.datron.de. We're happy for every visitor and viewer. During our live sessions, as I said, Monday through Thursday on individual topics, I would like to encourage you to post your questions in our chat function. You can see it on the display. We are happy to receive any question throughout the broadcast. If you have further information you would like to inquire about, or if you have more questions that are specific, please send an email to experience@datron.de. Any question you post today will be collected, and at the end of the session, we will collectively answer the questions with our experts in the background. If you have joined us before for one of our digital experience days, you will know that we also issue the FAQs, a collective of all questions and answers, after each session. The FAQ will be available together with the recording of this live broadcast to you. So enough said on my part. I have to shuffle my cards here a little bit. Today we're dealing with 4-axis machining, that is multi-axis machining with a 3-axis machine. If you have a Datron machine already, you will be happy to learn that you can enhance it with axis 4, which is a 4th axis. And in the background you can also already see my colleagues, Mark Rice, who is Technical Sales Manager, and also Simon Schmid, who is Area Sales Manager CNC, and they will illustrate now the benefits of axis 4. Enjoy.
Yes, thank you, Charlotte. Hello and welcome to our international customers. Thank you very much for joining us today to our first Digital Experience Day. My name is Simon Schmid. I'm an Area Sales Manager in South Bavaria. Next to me, I'm sure somebody will know him, is Mark Rice. He's an application engineer at the Datron. We would like to show you different technologies in this digital format. What we do take a look, we can upgrade a 3-axis machine into a 4-axis machine.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Simon. Also, a warm welcome from my side. I'm very happy to be here today with a very exciting topic because we're a little bit talking about the Axis 4. So what kind of work can we achieve with it? What kind of applications are suitable? And also maybe open your minds a little bit into the, in the approach of how to mill a part. So yeah, we're at the M8 here, which we've already been using at our first Datron Digital Experience Days earlier this year with a full 5-axis session. So we've been using the Trunnion unit, the DST, for like full 5 degrees of freedom. Today we're taking a step back and only using 4, but we'll see this is not a disadvantage. And there are like a lot of possibilities in general how to utilize the machine. So yeah, let's just take a look at the components and we go over that. Afterwards we're gonna mill apart and make some chips here, so you get a real good impression of what it means to mill with the Axis 4.
Yes, in this case, my colleague told before, we have the MA Cube. Here's the working space. Here's a machine with a working space 1000 by 700 millimeters, with a tool assist on the side. Inside we can see our Datron Axis 4 with a...
Just unlock the door.
Yes, we open the door. So here we can, for the slices for squaring, you can clamp your square parts. Yeah. So Mark, did you have other parts for the components for the Axis 4?
Yeah, there are a few more components that we can add to the system. So we have, like you said, the motor, which is the base of everything, with the rotary axis. We have the a base plate with a tailstock, which is optional. So for longer parts that need support from the back end, a tailstock would be possible, as well as a 3-jaw chuck for round parts. So depending on how your raw material looks, is it cylindrical or is it a square shape, you can have different clamping devices, and it's like all steel, solid steel ground. So you just need 8 bolts to swap the type of clamping, basically.
Mark, you talk about cylindrical parts. I don't know. It's more than cylindrical parts for turning machines, or? Yeah,
right. You can actually think the machine is been turned into a turning machine, but in fact it's not, because the RPM that the motor of the Axis 4 can spin is by far not fast enough to compare it with a real turning machine or a lathe. So we're talking about around 60 RPM on the 4th axis. So it's more actually for indexing. So we're bringing the part into position. That's what we're going to see in our demonstration later on. But also simultaneous work where we don't need the high RPM.
Okay. The tailstock, another question, sorry,
yep.
For the tailstock.
Yeah, absolutely.
How big the parts can be, like in diameter?
Yeah, it's a good question, because of course at some point you will be limited in terms of that you might collide on like a base plate. So our main height, which we can use, the tailstock height from the bottom to the tip here, would be 55 millimeters, which means a diameter of 110 millimeters is possible to hold and clamp into the machine. Yeah, so how do we set it up? For those of you who don't know our system in general, our work holding and table system, if we get a closer look to the base plate of the tailstock, you can see these cones here. So there are like steel cones with press fits in the base plate from the lower side. And the counterparts of these cones are in the machine. If we can get a view from the inside of the machine, thank you, is we have a grid of 100 by 100 millimeters. That is the exact counterpart of each base plate, of each vise, whatever. In conclusion, this means if we put the axis on the machine, it's already like pre-aligned. It's like a zero clamp system. So all you have to do after setting it up is you run a calibration program with like a ground round bar, and we use the touch probe, the 3D touch probe on the machine to trigger and probe the little misalignments in the different angles. We've prepared a little clip for you which shows how this works. So we got a couple of touch-off points. The probe comes down. There's a Renishaw probe tip. So this will calculate the exact center of our rotation, of the rotation axis.
Mark, another question. Which requirements do we need for doing a 3-axis machine into a 4-axis milling machine?
Yeah. It's actually this particular axis, the axis 4, fits on all our actual machines, from Datron Neo up to the MX Cube. So the entire Cube series, M8 Cube, ML Cube, M10 Pro, or Datron Neo and MX Cube can be used with the, or equipped with the Axis 4. Of course, there needs to be some preparations in terms of the electrical cabinet. So we need the connectors, we need like different encoders on the machine. But once this is prepared on the machine or even retrofitted, it's a plug-and-play system, which means if you need a full vacuum table or bed or any other clamping devices, you just take the axis off, you restart the machine, the system will recognize there's only 3 axes active now, and you can use it just as a standard machine.
So a simple plug-and-play system.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. At this point, we would like to invite everyone to take part of our poll. We would like to know if you already use a 4-axis on your CNC system. We would like to get back to the results in a few minutes. Thank you for voting.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see if our audience today is already familiar with milling on a 4th axis. All right, while everyone can vote, I would like to start the application, or at least give an information about what we are going to show and what we've prepared. Because we're not going to mill full simultaneously today. Instead, I have prepared this flat piece of aluminum with 4 little electronical micro housings. So it was actually a customer project a couple of months ago where we figured out what is probably the best way of making this part. And on a first look, you would think that vacuum work holding or standard in a vise would be the go-to. But in fact, it turned out that because of the different volumes of that particular part, and they vary a little bit, it's more efficient to make it on a 4th axis, because, let's take a look at the final part. You can see it has features on 4 different sides. So we got the back, we got the front, and you can also see this little long hole on the sides, like actually on 2 sides. So in fact, even if you make one side on the vacuum and mill a huge batch of parts, you would have to flip each and every one 3 more times. So we've come to the point that we've been using the 4th axis, where we can at least approach 3 sides, 4 parts at a time, basically in one shot. And yeah, that's what we're going to do and show. And also this little technology, getting back to this again, because at the end I will just break the parts off. So we have these little tabs here, and then we have a final setup that just faces off this remaining side and the missing long hole. All right, the machine is prepared. We have the stock material in the centric vise. So I would say we're going to load the program and just give it a go. So a typical indexing application. Indexing again means we rotate the part in one direction into a certain angle and then use 3 axes for the regular milling. other than simultaneous. But we're going to talk about this a little bit later, right?
Yes. So this is this tool is working a Datron tool, or what we use there for a tool?
Yes, we're using a single flute cutter, 6 millimeter in diameter. So that's one of our commonly used tools with a big chip channel. We have the alcohol coolant, very good chip evacuation for it, so we can run really, really fast. At this point, we're using 35,000 RPM at a feed rate of 6 meters. Yeah, so that was the first side with the pins. It's now finishing off the ground.
So I see maybe the results are ready of our poll. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so it's a like 60 to 40 result. So the majority of our viewers today already use a fourth axis. It's kind of surprising, but it's probably something that's going to be even higher or more in the future. So hopefully we can do some good impressions and give some good impressions on the technology. So the 60% even raise up.
Yeah, on the right side of the machine, we see our tool assist. Actually, we see a tool change. It goes really fast, it's 7 seconds. About the process stability, Mark, can you tell us something about the process stability with the tool assist?
Yeah, absolutely. So the tool assist, if we can get the total view, thank you. The tool assist is our tool magazine, which is outside of the machine. It's kind of new. And if you know Datron for a longer time, you know that in most machines and cases, the toolboxes are inside of the machine. So we have these like kind of drawers or like flap boxes, which always or sometimes cause problems during milling processes. So with having the tools outside of the milling area, this gives a good benefit. And getting back to our digital showroom, we have some under the accessories and machines. You can get more information about the tool assist.
The table next to you, Mark, I see some components or parts. Can you show us some parts? Maybe
Sure.
a customer have similar parts like this.
Sure, so we got this little part here, which was also made on the fourth. You can already or still see the little tabs on the bottom. And it is a ski binding. It's a prototype of a tour ski binding where we have different, or the quality, the surface quality was a high priority on this part. And the question was always how to get into the details because it's like kind of long. So we've been using, indexing the axis for let's say 30, 40 degree and then finishing off the walls, as well as all the thread and the entire backside. So this part is being made in just one shot. That's what it looks like afterwards. So that's also a great example about how to utilize the fourth axis. We take a look at the inside of the machine now. The little threads have just been finished. We got M3 threads and the tool changer is now changing to a 3 millimeter end mill, which is finishing off the pins. And then milling out the pocket from the lower side. So speaking about this part, it's kind of unconventional to mill it in this case, because usually you would think it's a 3-axis part, just put it on a vise and mill all the sides. But again, sometimes it can be really efficient to mill this way, and that's kind of our approach here to have all the process factors in mind and in our heads while we make this part and approach a work holding. So that's probably a very good example that there are different ways of how to make a part.
What we see now is indexing. machining, it's also possible to simultaneously.
Yeah, right. So indexing, again, it's the 3+1, so we're orientating the axis in one direction and then just making a feature. Simultaneous movements, which means all axes are interpolating together, all three linear axes as well as the fourth rotation axis are interpolating together. It's also possible, and we got this little sample here. It's like a big like a conveyor screw. That was made simultaneously, and we also got a little clip for you that shows simultaneous work. That's a gear shank of a race car which has been finished off on the Datron Neo. And look at this dynamic, I mean.
Yeah, the dynamic is also great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see it's just exactly the same components and axis like we have here on the M8 Cube, just as on the Neo. So if you take a look at the machine again, we're now doing the long side holds. So the axis is indexing the part upright on both sides. We've already have the pockets in, and I think it's now being followed by by the chamfer tool. So all the edges are nice and smooth. And it's really funny because like evaluating the different processes for this particular project, it was interesting to see that it is more efficient in like a mid-range amount of parts that you have to make, making it on the fourth axis. So putting something like this on a vacuum would not have been as efficient as we're doing it right here.
So Mark, did we have other options for equip the workspace on the machine, like a vacuum plate, something
like
right.
this?
This?
You could still use a vacuum plate in this setup. I mean, we have 1000 by 700, as you mentioned it, and the axis takes about 400 by 300 millimeters, depending on clamping and how much workspace you need. But still, if you want to equip an M8 Cube really to its maximum, you can have like a little vacuum table, you can have different vices, you can have special clamping, whatever. So it's extremely flexible in this case.
So again, the tool change is really fast, about
Yeah.
7 seconds. It's great.
Right. And if we take a closer look at the part now, we came to the operation now where we do the outside contour, which means we're finishing off the three sides on the part. Let me show it in this camera. So we're finishing off this, and this side. So we still have the full stability in the center, so it stays attached to the stock material. And at the very last operation, we're basically cutting them apart and then just breaking them off by hand. And maybe in the meantime, we can start another poll for our viewers. It would be very interesting to know, like for those that are using a fourth axis, what is the majority? Would it be simultaneous work, or would it be indexing work? So where you just pre-locate a part and then making 3-axis movement. From our experiences, it's like the real, like around 90% would still be indexing, and only a very little amount is doing real simultaneous work, like a screw pitch or whatever. So we're gonna fire this poll up now and get back to it in a few minutes. So it's now been finishing off, I think it's the last part of this. And then, oh, there comes another one. but still, and then just taking this little line in the center to, yeah, as I said, to take them apart, to open them up. Yeah, and then speaking about the setup, we've prepared a standard centric vise for like the missing second operation. So we finish off the fourth side of each part, also in one shot. We can have a closer look later when we swap the parts to it. We've prepared the soft jaws with pockets, so all the 4 parts sit in a pocket, and then it just takes around 30 seconds to face them off again, make the long hole, and then we got a total cycle time of, I think, around 12 to 13 minutes for the entire setup, so 4 parts in a row.
Yeah, now we can hear it with material get thinner.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you can hear the vibrations just through our microphones. It kind of sounds a little bit horrible, but that's quite normal because we have still kind of a large part hanging and losing. Sorry for the interruption. I think we had some technical issues with our live stream. That's live, that happens. But you didn't miss anything going on in the machine. So I think we've been on the last couple of operations now for the 4 parts, and that's where we are right now. So the machine has come to an end for this operation, and now we take a look at the inside, how I break the parts off. So the parts are just hanging a little bit on the stock material. Let me just clean them a little bit, and then getting back to our centric vise with the soft jaws. So I put all of the parts into it now, and you can see there is this little tab which we're gonna face off now. Let me get my handle. So I clamp the parts. So parts are properly secured now. I'm loading my second program. It is already linked with an origin with a 0 point. So if we can get a closer look to it. Thank you, Joe. Facing off the parts now in around 30 seconds and making the long hole. Ethanol coolant, nice and clean. So that's basically it for these 4 parts, making them in almost one shot. Of course, we need one additional setup, but it's still a lot more efficient than flipping every part 3 more times after the vacuum.
Sounds good. Yeah.
I think you have a good story from a customer who is already using the 4th axis. So
I don't know, maybe the results are ready, or?
Oh, right. Yeah, we forgot about the last poll. Sorry. So if we can just get those results, let me get a closer look. So we got 40% exclusively, 3 + 1. We got half of it that say, no, we got 40 other percent say half of the work, and 20% for simultaneous. Yeah, good to know. Kind of surprises me, but that's how it is. And yeah, now the word to you and your customer story.
Yeah, our customer story from a German customer, a long-time customer. So for many years he works with more than 10 Datron machines, like 16, more than 10 M7 and M8 machines. Actually, he bought a new Neo machine, and he also bought the Axis 4, and the Axis 4 works really good. They pretty much do prototyping work for injection molds and get perfect result with the Datron machine and our tools. Yes.
Yeah, so we got a little video of the work here where they do a right and a left part of an injection molding part on the 4th axis, also indexing work. So it's really beneficial for them. And the company First Mold, yeah, it's like they're at a very good level of how they make things, how they approach to certain applications. And they have a real nice machinery, as we saw.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with funny characters.
Yeah, that's a funny side story. We're gonna see it in a second, because they have so many machines which are also from a similar type. And we can see the parts. But because they have so many same machines, they have been giving names to each and every machine from like movie or comic characters. And we got Homer Simpson here, we got Neo from Matrix, and and SpongeBob, yeah. And we're not 100% sure if there has been any confusion about the M7 Neo and the real Datron Neo machine. But yeah, it's adding the Neo with the 4th axis has been really beneficial for their work.
Yeah, they make up to 90% milling parts with the axis 4, and the last 10% are 5-axis parts. So they
full
can
5-axis, yeah.
Full 5-axis parts. So they can make 90% of their parts with the 4-axis. It's I think
that's a really good amount. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mr. Strauss from First Mold, for providing all the information. Yeah, and thank you, Simon, for this live session. I think we are coming to an end now.
Yeah, welcome.
Pretty much. Let me just know if there are any questions from our audience. I can see 2 questions coming. So, Simon, if you...
Thank you. Okay, we got some customer question. The first question, how exactly does the axis position?
So if you, let's say if you mill a cylinder, a bore, a hole from both sides, we've been achieving around 15 to 18 microns circularity and concentricity on the parts. So that's for like most of the applications more than enough. So yeah, let's say around 15 to 20 microns.
Okay. Second question, does the axis fit on a M7?
On the M7, yeah, sure, it does fit, but it would not work because the M7 only works with the old control system, the Datron CNC. Also on systems with Datron HSC Pro, it would not work, but, and that's the good news, there are different type of hardware that fit on such machines. So we have been using 4th axis at earlier days, but this Axis 4 has been redeveloped or newly developed after we got the Datron Next control. So no, it does not work on an M7.
Okay, that's it. No more questions.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So we want to say thank you for the attention, and we give the word to Charlotte again for some final words for this session.
Thank you, dear colleagues. It was very eventful. Thank you. And dear viewers, we apologize for the technical inconvenience, but we hope you just bared with us and you stayed with us. If you enjoyed this full session, we would like to invite you to join us tomorrow again at 2 p.m. As I said earlier today. We have dispensing as our central topic. Maybe you haven't been aware, but for more than 20 years, we've also been very active in the dispensing industry, and we have several patents. Tomorrow we'll have an expert talk on dispensing. On Wednesday at 2 p.m., again, Central European Summertime, we have a special on the perfect fit. In German, we already joked about it, saying it's a fit with a plop because it's so tight, it just fits. And on Thursday, which will be our last live experience day, will be dedicated to our customer care branch of the company, which includes tools, after-sales services, and other specialties that relate to your machine maintenance and machine activity. So please join us again. We would love for you to see us. We don't see you, unfortunately. And of course, nothing can replace personal contact. Yet, maybe you have time to join us, spread the word, spread the love about Datron, because only if you share your positive experience and also your opinion with others, they will be aware that Datron makes a difference. So join us on social media channels, and also use our platform experience.datron.de, which includes also a lot of information on milling tools, on, for instance, sacrificial layers, all kinds of accessories you will need to mill, because the machine and Axis 4 alone won't do it. So thank you for joining us. Have a great afternoon. We have a toasty late summer here, and maybe see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.